September 2025. The air in South Africa is thick with uncertainty, as the country stands on the edge of a precipice. The sun sets over Johannesburg, but for millions, the future feels darker than ever. South Africa is on edge. In homes, offices, and crowded city squares, people anxiously scan headlines and watch breaking news, searching for answers that never seem to come. Once the continent's industrial giant, the country now faces a crisis shaking its very foundation. The hum of machinery has faded, replaced by an uneasy silence in factories that once symbolized hope and progress. Glencore and ArcelorMittal, pillars of South African industry, just announced massive job cuts. These are not just any companies, they are the backbone of entire towns, supporting thousands of families for generations. Glencore may axe 2,400 jobs at its Rustenburg smelters. For the workers, this isn't just a number, it's a lifeline being severed, a future thrown into doubt. ArcelorMittal could cut over 4,000, nearly half its workforce, after losing R1 billion in 6 months. The scale of these losses is staggering, echoing through the steel corridors and empty parking lots. Imagine thousands receiving a message, "Your job is gone." The shock ripples through families as breadwinners struggle to explain the unthinkable to their loved ones. These aren't just numbers. Each job lost means families and entire communities at risk. Children's futures, dreams of education, and the stability of neighborhoods all hang in the balance. Unions warn that for every direct job lost, up to 7 more in the supply chain could vanish, potentially over 17,000 jobs from one company's decision. The domino effect threatens to unravel the fabric of local economies. The ripple effect hits truck drivers, small businesses, and local shops, devastating entire regions. Cafes, repair shops, and markets that once bustled with life now face empty days and uncertain tomorrows. This isn't a temporary slump, it feels like a turning point, a moment when the nation must decide what kind of future it wants to build and whether it can recover from such a blow. South Africa's identity as Africa's industrial powerhouse is under threat. The smokestacks that once signaled prosperity now stand as silent reminders of what's at stake. The news from Glencore and ArcelorMittal isn't just about business, it's about a nation at a crossroads. The choices made now will echo for generations. The country must now confront hard truths about its economic future. Leaders, workers, and families alike are searching for solutions, hoping for a path forward. The world is watching as South Africa faces its most serious test yet. The outcome will shape not just the nation but the continent's future as well. Why are these industrial giants collapsing? Once the pride of the nation, these factories and plants now stand silent. Their machines idle and their workers sent home. What has brought the industrial heart of South Africa to its knees? It's a perfect storm, years in the making, a combination of mounting pressures that have slowly eroded the foundations of industry. First, electricity, or more accurately, the lack of reliable electricity. Load shedding and Eskom's ongoing struggles mean constant blackouts, leaving entire cities and industrial zones in the dark for hours at a time. For factories, unreliable and expensive power is a disaster. Production lines grind to a halt, deadlines are missed, and workers are left frustrated and uncertain about their future. Eskom's latest price hike makes electricity 68% more expensive than in the US, putting South African manufacturers at a huge disadvantage. Imagine running a business where your power bill destroys your profits. Even the most efficient companies struggle to survive when energy costs spiral out of control. But the problems don't end there. Next, infrastructure is failing. Transnet's railways and ports are plagued by delays and congestion, making it nearly impossible to move goods efficiently across the country or to international markets. Even if you manage to produce steel or finished goods, getting them to market is a logistical nightmare. Shipments are delayed, costs rise, and customers look elsewhere. Add a flood of cheap imports from China and India, and South African products can't compete on price or speed. Local industries are squeezed from all sides. Weak local demand means there aren't enough buyers at home, leaving shelves full and warehouses overflowing with unsold goods. The result? It's too costly to produce, too hard to export, and nearly impossible to compete globally. Factories close, jobs are lost, and hope fades. This isn't just a storm, it's a full-blown economic hurricane, battering every corner of the industrial sector. The country's industrial heart is faltering, and the consequences are spreading fast, affecting families, communities, and the entire economy. South Africa's global competitiveness is slipping away, as other nations surge ahead and local industries fall further behind. The crisis is deep, the challenges are complex, and the solutions are anything but simple. But understanding the roots of the problem is the first step toward recovery. In the midst of crisis, the government faces a tough choice. Should it lower the inflation target? Some argue a lower target attracts foreign investment and signals stability. Others warn that tighter targets mean higher interest rates, making it harder for struggling industries to survive. It's a classic dilemma: long-term discipline versus immediate relief. Whatever path is chosen, the stakes for South Africa's economy are enormous. South Africa was once Africa's undisputed economic leader. But while it's been stuck with power cuts and political gridlock, other nations are surging ahead. Morocco is booming, attracting global manufacturers and investing in world-class infrastructure like the Tanger Med port. Nigeria, with its vast population, is diversifying beyond oil. Its tech sector is thriving, drawing global investors. These countries are innovating, adapting, and growing fast. South Africa's legacy as the continent's powerhouse is no longer guaranteed. The race for investment and jobs is on, and South Africa is falling behind. It's not just about pride, it's about real opportunities slipping away. To lead Africa, South Africa must adapt or risk being left behind. The competition is fierce and the gap is closing. The continent's economic map is being redrawn. The world is watching South Africa's troubles and stepping in. Headlines flash across the globe as international attention zeroes in on the country's economic crisis. From New York to Beijing, leaders and investors are closely monitoring every move, aware that what happens here could ripple far beyond South Africa's borders. The World Bank just approved a $1.5 billion loan to help modernize infrastructure and support green energy. This funding is meant to jumpstart projects that could transform daily life. Upgrading roads, expanding access to electricity, and investing in renewable power to reduce blackouts and pollution. It's a lifeline, but it comes with strings, more debt, and pressure for tough reforms. Accepting this money means taking on new obligations, and the government must now prove it can use the funds wisely while managing the growing burden of repayment. South Africa's public debt has tripled since 2008, now at 75% of GDP. The numbers are staggering, and every year the cost of servicing this debt grows, squeezing out money for schools, hospitals, and social programs. Servicing it eats up a fifth of government revenue. That's money that could be spent on building a better future, but instead, it's going to pay off old loans and interest. The IMF is pushing for structural reforms, cutting red tape, fixing energy and logistics, and fighting corruption. These changes are designed to make the economy more competitive and attract investment, but they're not easy to implement. The new coalition government must balance international demands with local needs. Every decision is scrutinized, and leaders must find common ground between competing political parties and public expectations. Reforms are necessary, but politically risky. Protests erupt as citizens worry about job losses, higher prices, and the impact on their daily lives. Politicians face fierce debates and public backlash. The government walks a tightrope: satisfy lenders, but don't alienate citizens. One wrong step could mean losing vital support at home or abroad. The world wants proof that South Africa can change. Investors and global institutions are waiting to see if the country can deliver on its promises and restore confidence. The pressure is immense and the stakes are global. South Africa's choices will shape not just its own future, but could influence economic trends across the continent and beyond. Can South Africa deliver real reform before time runs out? The clock is ticking, and the world is holding its breath. Behind every economic headline are real people. South Africa's unemployment rate is already 32%. Every new layoff deepens the crisis. Jobs at places like ArcelorMittal aren't just paychecks, they're lifelines for families and communities. When factories close, local shops lose customers, schools lose students, and hope fades. Inequality grows sharper. The rich weather the storm, but millions on the edge face devastation. Social tensions simmer as the crisis hits the most vulnerable. The new government faces gridlock and tough choices, like a proposed VAT hike that sparked fierce debate. Trust in leadership is fragile, and people are desperate for real solutions. The challenge isn't just economic recovery, it's social healing. South Africa's future depends on restoring hope and opportunity. The human cost of this crisis can't be ignored. South Africa stands at a crossroads. The choice: bold, painful reforms for long-term stability, or short-term fixes that risk decline. One path means overhauling state enterprises, embracing tough policies, and enduring hardship for future prosperity. The other path avoids hard choices, but risks slow decline and lost leadership in Africa. The decision rests with the people and their leaders. The world is watching as South Africa writes its next chapter. Which path will the Rainbow Nation choose?